The following program is brought to you free of charge by the sponsorship of Novus Ordo Watch. See for yourself that the Church of the Second Vatican Council is not in fact the Catholic Church of the ages. Go to novusordowatch.org.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Behind the Lodge Door on member-supported Restoration Radio. We are your hosts, Dan.
And Damo. How are you, Dan?
Yeah, well, thanks, Damo.
That's the way. Did you have a good Christmas?
Yes, everyone has a good Christmas here. The most wonderful time of the year, apparently.
Well, it certainly was a memorable time for us this time round, wasn't it? Having Bishop Sanborn here for a couple of weeks in Australia, gracing this nation with his presence.
Yes, most definitely. I found so much good material in those conferences that he gave. It was just very thought-provoking.
Very much so.
Definitely an intellectual.
Oh, very much so. And I actually heard the second conference that he gave in Brisbane, which was different to the second conference that he gave here in Melbourne.
Really?
Which was specific to the recognise and resist opinion or position, if you like.
Yeah.
Absolutely just nailed them. So I would encourage all our listeners to have a listen to that one. In fact, it was released on the MHT website, so you can actually hear that already. But we also have another conference which is to be released at a later date once it's been produced. So definitely get on board with the Recognise and Resist conference given by Bishop Sanborn in Brisbane. It was great to have Bishop Sanborn here. It was fantastic for our country to have a true successor to the apostles,
yes,
gracing our shores. There is no true bishop in Australia.
No.
You know, for the landmass that we have, and we only have 23 million people, but we do not have a single true bishop here. So it was a very exciting time. We were blessed, and we greatly appreciate his efforts.
And I do recommend, if anyone's listening, to all those people listening, all those millions listening to this podcast, I certainly recommend you do check out his sermons and his speeches, because you'll definitely learn something. He's a very learned man.
I was a bit naughty last night, Dan.
Oh,
I was a naughty Damo last night.
Oh, no.
Because around about 1 o'clock in the morning, I thought I'd have a quick look at the debate between Bishop Sanborn and a Dr. Farigi, I think his name was.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, get online, go to YouTube, put in that and sit back and enjoy 2 hours of Bishop Sanborn mutilating the Vatican II false doctrines, the Vatican II documents, Vatican II in its entirety.
So it's like an intellectual UFC, the cage fighting. Anyway, you don't know that one.
And in the left corner, weighing in at 220 pounds. Yeah, not quite like that, but that was a good one. I highly recommend it. But we can sit here and recommend till the cows come home, Dan. It's all online.
Do the needful, as
Notice
they say.
Auto Watch, True Restoration, MHT. It's all there. Plenty of material. Get on board. Check it out. So, yes, it was fantastic to have him here, and it was a very busy time.
Very busy. It was, Christmas, and then it was, obviously the holidays, and it was really stinking hot and humid in Melbourne too. So that added to the challenge as well. I think Bishop Sanborn, got a real taste of some of the more intemperate summer weather, which he was probably not expecting in the month of December.
Possibly true. However, he did state that the weather here was very similar to Florida. So Welcome back, Dan. It's good to be back on Behind the Lodge Door. It's been a while, hasn't it? A few months.
It has been a while. We were planning at taking over some of those lodges, but our plan didn't work, unfortunately.
So we just went and blew them up.
That's right.
Yeah.
What's the traditional state of Accounts version of Allahu Akbar?
I know maybe we have to come up with something.
I know. Viva Cristo Rey!
That's already taken, mate.
All right,
you're not very you're not very original.
Besides, it's not even in English. Actually, neither's Allahu Akbar, but never mind.
So listen, before we start, I've come across something which I think is really exceptional. It's called the Shakespeare Insult Kit. And I think we should have a look at this and give it a bit of a go because, typically as Aussies, we like to get stuck into each other a little bit, call each other names, but this takes it to a new level, Dan.
Yes, and some of those insults that I can see in front of me here are just so malignant, so over the top that I don't know that any man can cope with this level of what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Maybe I should look for the Shakespeare insult to find some words here.
Well, let's give this a go, just for a bit of fun, shall we? So I'm going to give you an insult. Now, I don't want you to cry.
I'll try not to.
I'm going to call you something, and here we go. So, Dan, thou droning, dread-bolted death token.
Ah, well, that's you qualling milk-livered mammoth.
You impertinent, full-born gudgeon.
I protest you are a spleeny, half-faced coxcomb.
Thou qualling, motley-minded measle.
Thou spleeny, earth-vexing death token.
Well, what about if you came across Bergoglio? How about Bergoglio, thou gore-bellied, full-born footlicker?
Yes, or he could be a paunchy, beef-witted barnacle.
What if you did this in a different language? Say Swedish. Thou mammering, hedge-born, hugga-mugga.
Or maybe even Vietnamese. No, spleeny, hedge-born, hedge-pig.
Oh, goodness me. I think we're being a bit stupid here. But anyway, thou fawning, earth-vexing dewberry, I think we should get on to the show. What do you think?
Well, absolutely, tottering shardborn pumpkin.
Okay, so, Dan, we're up to chapters 5 and 6 in Behind the Lodge Door, which is, of course, all about the Freemasons. And would you like to start us off with chapter 5? I don't think we need to rehash the other chapters, do we? I mean, we've already done those episodes. The listeners can go back and listen to that. That's why they're called listeners, I think, because they get to listen.
That's right, yes. And I'm sure you know what the Freemasons are, but if you don't, do a Wikipedia search on them anyway.
Yeah, listen to this show.
Yes.
And you might pick up a thing or two.
You might
a bad heart or something.
You might even learn something.
That's not.
I don't know. This chapter 5. Obviously, this book is Behind the Lodge Door by Paul Fisher. This one's called Footsteps in the Sand, but really, it's wasn't
that a poem?
It was yes. It was a great poem too, wasn't
Footprints in the Sand. Footprints in the sand.
Footprints. Yeah, that was a
that
great
woman.
poem.
That was by that woman, Anne.
Hang on.
No. Yeah, it was Anonymous.
Anonymous?
Anonymous.
Hang on, we've got to find that. Footprints. It's so cheesy. I don't know if you want to be dragged off script here, but I think we can make fun of that one.
Okay, let's make fun of it.
Footprints.
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on. Footprints. Poem.
Just when our neighbour decides to get on his motorbike.
Yeah, get on. Hurry up. Yeah, there we go. I think he's trailed off.
Yeah.
Okay. Footprints in the Sand.
Oh, here we go. By Footprints in the Sand, narrated by Daniel.
Here we go.
Oh, no, sorry. Footprints in the Sand, narrated by Dan, who art thou rottish, pox-marked pignut.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
No worries.
One night I dreamed a dream. As I was walking along the beach with my lord, across the dark sky flashed scenes from my life. For each scene I noticed 2 sets of footprints in the sand, one belonging to me and one to my lord. After the last scene of my life flashed before me, I looked back at the footprints in the sand. I noticed that at many times along the path of my life, especially at my very lowest and saddest times, there was only one set of footprints. This really troubled me, so I asked the Lord about it.
I'd be troubled too, Dan, thou dissembling, dizzy-eyed coxcomb.
Yes. Lord, you said once I decided to follow you, you'd walk with me all the way. But I noticed that during the saddest and most troublesome times of my life, there was only one set of footprints. I don't understand why, when I needed you the most, you would leave me. He whispered, my precious child, I love you and will never leave you. Never ever during your trials and testings. When you saw only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you.
Oh,
So beautiful.
oh, so Protestant.
Yes.
Yes.
Utterly. But that's not what the chapter's about.
No, how did we get onto that?
I don't know.
So
Anyway,
what is this
it's,
chapter about, Dan?
It's pretty much about Senator Black. Now, why is Senator Black important? Well, it turned out that he was a High Court nominee.
Ooh.
Sorry, not a High Court nominee, an actual High Court judge. He was a nominee before he was a judge,
yes.
obviously.
Correct.
Some background to the story, which this author provides. Around the 20s, there was a group called the True Americans, or the TAs, whose raison d'etre was to go around seeking to deny employment to Catholics, the same way many people today would campaign to have people sacked for expressing dissident or un-PC views. Only back then it was way worse, because there was no welfare state for those who lost their job to fall back on.
So you're saying that one of their key roles, this True Americans, was to just keep Catholics unemployed?
Yes, pretty much. They wanted to keep them destitute. They hated Catholics so much that they made it their mission to take food off their family's table. Gives you an idea of how intense was the anti-Catholic animus at the time.
But what's the problem with Catholics? Why do they hate Catholics?
They saw the Catholics as a threat to, well, this was the rhetoric anyway, they saw the Catholics as a threat to their kind of white Anglo-Saxon Protestant kind of America at the time. And I guess they, according to the rhetoric, it was that the Vatican would try to take over the American country. They would try to establish almost like a Catholic caliphate in America, which was the fear at the time. But anyway, there was this one particular case that this book mentions, and the murder of Father James Coyle and the acquittal of his murderer. The 48-year-old priest, which is a pillar of the Catholic community in Birmingham, Alabama, was killed by a Methodist minister and barber. He was a barber, probably precursor to Sweeney Todd.
So hang on. So he used to cut hair and murder priests.
Yes,
That's an interesting combination.
yes. It would fill you with confidence as he's got the razor in his hand.
Welcome to my shop, Father. Would you like a close shave?
Yeah, we'll shave 20% off. Anyway, this happened while Father Coyle was sitting on his porch reading after dinner. This murderous Methodist, who had made his money actually by hanging around the courtroom looking for couples to marry, so he would solicit business that way.
The marrying pastor.
Yes,
Or the murdering person.
or the murdering master.
Yes.
Yes. What set this minister off was the fact that his daughter, Ruth Guzman, was considering converting to Catholicism after having been wooed by an altar Puerto Rican suitor, which, you can imagine. Puerto Ricans in Alabama, there wouldn't have been too many then. Anyway, at the priest's funeral, the bishop had remarked that Catholics and Protestants got along with civil cordiality up until about 1915, when in his view, politicians and Masons basically whipped the locals into an anti-Catholic frenzy. So they're saying pretty much that this anti-Catholic animus at the time wasn't an organic thing, it was actually planned by the
I
Masons.
think we spoke about that in the last show, didn't we? This grown man recalled that as a youngster, there was all this propaganda pumped into them about how bad the Catholics were.
Yes.
But then when he got into the real world, it was certainly not what he found. But then going back, he found that they were teaching the youngsters the same thing 30 years later, that, these Catholics, they're bad.
Yeah.
Keep away from them, they're Catholics. Because they're gonna baptize you. They're going to try and save your soul. They're evil people.
Yes, that's right. You never know when those Catholics will go around baptizing people. Such Such a threat. You know, they're like terrorists basically, going around baptising people. Unbelievable.
We have another threat. We have another threat. We have another terror attack in Alabama today. 250 people are lined up and baptized.
Oh no! Oh goodness! Get the feds in immediately. Now,
It's okay. It was a false flag.
but this 1915, that's when it started, according to the bishop at the time. When the priest, he did the priest's funeral, and he said that that was the year that the KKK was resuscitated in that town by Colonel William Simmons. So KKK obviously was a dormant thing, obviously group of eccentric white-shared, cross-burning Fruit Loops, and now it was resuscitated.
Imagine if a Ku Klux Klansman, imagine if a Ku Klux Klansman had a heart attack. Would you be allowed to rip that thing off his head and give him? Well, you wouldn't want to give him mouth to mouth, would you?
You wouldn't. No. Although you could say, you know what, I'm a Catholic and I'm about to save your life. Do you want me to save your life?
Yeah.
Actually, you know what, a black Catholic even.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, imagine that.
Oh, that'd be ironic.
Yes.
But you could try and give him resuscitate him with CPR, but then he might wake up and go, "Stop blowing in my eye!" Oh, sorry, mate, wrong hole. That's the eye, is it? Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
That murder took place, obviously, but it was 3 days after that Ruth Guzman, the woman in question, converted to the Catholic faith. Her father had locked her in a room on the day in which she was due to receive her first Holy Communion, and they were trying instead to have her married off to a divorced Freemason. So, according to Ruth Guzman, her parents had made many threats in her presence about what they would do to the Catholic Church or to Father Coyle. She said, "We have had people there at the house, Masons, and they've said that they wish the whole Catholic institution was in hell. My mother has said many a time that she wished she could set a bomb under the Catholic cathedral. My father asked me if I wished to cause the death of Mr. Bender, her Catholic friend, and Father Coyle and I would if we continued going to church." So,
Interesting.
that was some of the threats there.
Coyle and Bender.
Coyle and Bender, yeah. Sounds like some kind of a...
Sounds like a mechanic shop.
Yeah, Coyle and Bender.
Yeah.
Fender
Bender.
Fender Benders, yeah.
Crash the car.
Well, that's something they could have done too if cars were more widely available back in those days. It was 1915, so maybe
That's true.
Maybe having a car was a luxury.
I guess it was.
Maybe they were going to sabotage their horses. Yes.
Set up a what do they call those bombs when you start your car?
A car bomb.
Car bomb. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A horse bomb.
A horse bomb.
Imagine-
Yeah. I don't know how that would work.
It'll look a bit obvious. You walk up to your horse and you go to jump on, and you see that there's about 3 kilos of plastic explosives strapped to the belly of the horse, and you go, "Hey, hang on, something's going on here. I'm not riding this thing today."
Well, they could put it in the horse's mouth.
He'd be chafing at the bit.
Yes, quite. Yes, well, Guzman said that she'd received threats of being kidnapped, and the efforts were made to send her to an insane asylum. That was the conditions under which her family had put her under. So disapproving were they of this relationship. But the minister was formally charged with first-degree murder.
Right. Now this is her father we're talking about.
This is her father, the minister.
Yes.
Yes, because those Protestant ministers have fathers.
That's right.
Have wives. Well, of course they have fathers. They have wives.
Guess what? I'm a Protestant, and I had a father.
No, they married. Well, they say in the Bible to leave your wives and join if you're going to be a priest, you dedicate your life to God, you need to leave your wife. But obviously Protestants have it both ways. That's how it was started, obviously.
I thought some people become priests so they don't have to get married.
Well, that's also historically been true as well. Although, the good seminaries are supposed to weed out those with
that's true.
less than pure intentions.
Yes, well, it comes down to the vocation, doesn't it?
Yes.
These Protestants, it's all messed up. Why would you want to get... Do they have confession? I don't know. Do Protestants have confession? Or reconciliation?
That's a good question. I think some of the high church Anglicans, they have this kind of confession-y thing that they got going, where they... Yeah, you're supposed to... Yeah, I've read it that in some of those high churches they do that.
Right,
But it's all a bit of a joke, really, isn't it?
well, you're sitting down at dinner to, you're the minister and you're sitting down at dinner. Oh, g'day, Dale. You wouldn't believe confession today. Oh, Dan came in. Oh my gosh, you would not believe what he's been up to.
Yeah, well, especially
Pass the salt, would you love?
Yeah, well, especially since they've got no seal of confession there anyway. So even if they did do confession, they'd probably use it as an excuse to go and gossip or something.
Well, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know much about these Protestant religions, and quite frankly, I don't even just know they're wrong. Don't care.
Most of them don't have confession. Most of them, they say, look, it's between you and God.
Yeah,
you don't have to confess your sins
right.
to a man.
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
this,
just feel sorry. Just feel sorry. Hey Dan, you know that $1,500 that you lent me?
Oh yeah.
I'm not giving it back.
Right. Okay.
But I'm sorry.
Ah, that's.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. Or,
You're right.
smack me in the mouth.
you maggot pie, ill-breeding, roguish. No, I read that backwards. Never mind. Yes.
Oh. So anyway, Ruth's father,
Yes.
okay, the murdering, marrying pastor barber. So what happened to him? I mean, you said that he was convicted.
Well, yes. I'm going into that because they say here, according to the book, yes, he was charged with first-degree murder, but the journal at the time said that he entered the court smiling and he seemed little concerned by the trial.
Do you think he had some inside information?
Yes, well...
in relation to his near future?
Yes, that's what the book is saying. In fact, the book is saying here that he had attended a Masonic conference beforehand and he had a discussion with several attorneys which may have resulted in this extraordinary exoneration. But yes, I guess you could say it was the Masonic legal industrial complex at work there. Even the local paper, the secular paper there, questioned the verdict. They thought it was a little too sus.
So Dan, can you just take us through what took place with that murder? How did it happen?
Okay, well, 3 shots, according to the testimony, were fired as fast as you can pull a trigger.
Right.
Witness A.L. Easter saw Stevenson fire their first shot 2 feet from the porch steps. After the shooting, he said the defendant rose from his knees and walked toward the courthouse. It was also disclosed that the man doing the shooting was below the man being shot. Okay,
he was below the
below
man
him.
being shot. Right,
Yes,
interesting.
below the man being shot. Father Coyle was killed by a bullet that entered near the left ear and passed out through the back of his head.
Right.
But no one testified that they saw the priest do anything, and no other weapon was introduced into the evidence. They talked about the premeditated murder of the priest. The case was strengthened by some of the statements that the mad-murdering Methodists had made about Catholics beforehand.
So you're saying the testimony against him, the testimonies against him, or
Well, the testimony was against him, saying that obviously the murder was premeditated.
right?
Dispassionate observations were of the belief that it was premeditated murder. Even the local rag at the time said that they were astonished by the verdict. It seemed pretty obvious, but obviously this Paul Fisher puts together a very good case that Hugo Black was the attorney for the for the murdering Methodist.
Oh.
So they make the case that this murdering Methodist, but also to be specific, his very influential attorney, Mr. Hugo Black, used his Freemasonic connections to get his way in a case that should have been quite open and shut. It wasn't to be the last time that Black would be allowed to break the rules and to throw his weight around and use his Masonic connections to get what he wanted.
Well, Hugo L, standing for Lafayette Black, and of course we mentioned in one of our previous shows, Lafayette was one of the generals, I believe, that came from France and assisted Washington in winning the War of Independence. Another high-ranking Freemason.
Yes, interesting the name.
Brought over by Thomas Jefferson, I believe.
Not too good at my American history, that's why I'm reading these books.
True.
But Lafayette, I do know one thing, Lafayette, it's a very interesting name. It's not a name that you'd really give someone by coincidence. It's not a common name. But L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of the Church of Scientology, the L in L. Ron Hubbard is Lafayette.
There you go.
Yes.
Freemasons everywhere. We've got to get the Freemason detection device out again at some point.
Ah, yes, the old famous. That's been on the shelf for quite a while.
Yeah, blow the dust off that.
Need to put that to use. The judge who presided over the case and subsequently resigned to become Black's law partner, he too was a Klansman. The judge was a Klansman. And somewhat poetically, Ray Spriegel of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette said that the large granite cross which marks the grave of Father Coyle is considered the stepping stone of Black's determined march to the High Court.
Didn't Black make a comment in there somewhere about you can tell a man's future by his past?
Yes, he did say that, and that's what opened up the book.
Right.
And they basically, Paul Fisher damns him by his own words, I guess you could say.
So, Dan, chapter 5, Footsteps in the Sand. What is that all about?
Okay, well, Footsteps in the Sand is a reference to a quote from Senator Black, with whom this chapter is heavily preoccupied.
Right.
As a general rule, he said, a man follows in the future the course that he has followed in the past. Show me the kind of steps a man made in the sand 5 years ago, and I will show you the kind of steps he is likely to make in the same sand 5 years hence. Show me the course he was pursuing then, and unless there has been some great cataclysm which has absolutely changed his character, I will show you the course that he is going to follow in the future.
Would you disagree with that?
That seems like a reasonable idea. People don't really change once they're grown up. They don't really change. Who you are now is probably who you are going to be in the future.
And well, we would hope that as Catholics that we would certainly improve, wouldn't we? You know, in terms of our spirituality, and our aim is to look back in 5 years and within ourselves say, well, I have progressed. And only that's something that we would say within ourselves, between us and God. If that is the case, and we've been completely honest, if that's the case, that's the case. If we haven't improved, well, let's be honest with ourselves too and say, I need to lift my game. However, in terms of people that we deal with in our daily lives, out and about in society, not to be condescending, but I think that's actually true. Obviously, they're formed by where they've been, what they've done, the influences in their life.
Yes.
So I tend to agree with him actually on that. I know he was a raging Freemason. And, you know, if I wanted to be really cruel, I could call him a paunchy, ill-nurtured mammoth. But I wouldn't do that because that'd be uncharitable.
That'd be rude.
But I think he's right. I think that in the main, a leopard doesn't change its spots. Certainly when it comes to people, what they have been, they tend to continue to be. Unless, of course, they're striving for perfection, which the Catholic Church teaches.
Yes, that's true. I think, in a naturalistic sense, that is certainly true. That it's very unusual that someone is a completely different person 5 years from now, basically. Yeah. So.
Like if someone's, say, a pathological liar 5 years ago, there's a good chance they are now.
Yeah, definitely.
They have no reason to curb the vice, to change their habits, I should say. You know, if someone is a big drinker, that's different. If someone's a big smoker, well, they can change that. But in terms of the person that they are, the character that they are, the life that they lead, you don't necessarily see a lot of change unless, of course, they are striving for perfection, which is what the Catholic Church requires us to do. So, look, not to labour the point, Dan, but I don't actually disagree with this this tottering spur-galled scut on this point.
But I think what this author does is he uses that quote of Black's to damn him with his own words.
Right, so you're saying that he's applying that phrase that Black has stated to Black himself.
Yes, and furthermore, especially in the context of his political career and then his career as being a court judge, there is an expectation that a judge is supposed to be impartial. And obviously no one is truly impartial. That's a ridiculous standard to expect anyone to be truly impartial. But if someone is egregious, and in his case, his egregiously anti-Catholic statements and his anti-Catholic conduct that he'd engaged in, and then him trying to put himself up as some kind of an impartial judge, that is an answer to his conceit. Is basically, look, you yourself said that you don't change that much in 5 years. Yet here you are saying to everyone that, you know, you're okay for such an important role, when quite clearly you harbour such an intense animus against Catholics that you cannot possibly put yourself up there with any credibility as a judge. In fact, it's worth noting a quote. This was Hugo Jr.
Right.
Reported that his father suspected that the Catholic Church was aspiring to be the state church in the US, and that the justice could not tolerate any sign of encouraging religious faith by state aid. But he said that the justice could not whip himself up to a belief in God or the divinity of Christ, life after death, or heaven or hell.
Yet at the same time, Dan, can I quote him as well?
Yes.
In line with what you've just said there. So he's saying he hates Catholics. He doesn't believe in God. He doesn't believe in hell. Okay, so how can he not have a bias when he's making decisions as a High Court judge, which he was for some 35 years, I believe.
Oh, yes.
I'd like to quote him too. Quote, "A fair trial in a fair tribunal is a basic requirement of due process.
Ooh.
Fairness, of course, requires an absence of actual bias in the trial of cases. But our system of law has always endeavoured to prevent even the probability of unfairness. No man is permitted to carry cases where he has an interest in the outcome. But to perform its high function in the best way, justice must satisfy the appearance of justice." Unquote. Well, guess what, Mr. Black, you warped, toad-spotted vassal? You didn't live up to that at all.
No, not at all. And the fact that he would even have the gall and the chutzpah to even say these things about bias or even the appearance of bias when he was so flagrantly and unapologetically prejudiced against the church is just outrageous. He had 600 volumes of his notes and papers destroyed. The Justice's son, Hugo Jr., said, "Practically, the first thing Daddy wanted me to do once he was installed in the hospital was to go out and burn certain papers of his." Now, I don't know if that was an Alabama thing, but I don't know too many grown men who refer to their father as Daddy.
Hello, Daddy.
But
Please,
anyway,
Daddy, can I
yes.
have a new pony?
And it said here...
Hang on, they wouldn't talk like that in Alabama, would they?
Daddy? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what they go. Oh, no, they wouldn't say Daddy. No, they wouldn't say Daddy.
Hey, Daddy, I want a new pony, Daddy. How about you give me that there new pony, Daddy? Yeehaw, Grandma.
I think what he's trying to do, this Paul Fisher, is he's trying to set up that idea about the man doesn't change, and then the final quote, after he's already talked about his anti-Catholic animus and his extreme anti-Catholic bias, is put at the very end of the chapter the quote about the fair trial.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
And listeners, we do tend to sort of jump around a little bit. We're going from one thing to the next, and we understand that can be a bit difficult to follow, but we encourage you to read the book.
Yes. Yes, that's
There
the
it is,
one.
Behind the Lodge Door.
Yes.
We both got a copy. You've got a copy, Dan.
I've got a copy. Yes.
So, get a copy. It's cheap through Restoration Radio. In reading through the book, it'll all glue together. You'll understand what we're saying. There are many examples in here of where Hugo Black just absolutely went after the Catholics like there was no tomorrow. He was a Ku Klux Klansman. He had a life membership. He resigned prior to his being escalated to the bench. It's just all so obvious. He was put there under Roosevelt.
Okay.
Another raging Freemason. And then the next 30 years, they dominated the High Court bench.
So he says that in private correspondence with a fellow senator, he referred to the Catholic Church as our ancient enemy.
Yet at the same time, this shows you the hypocrisy of "Thou rank on United Minnow," when he said, and I quote, "Some of my best and most intimate friends are Catholics and Jews."
Oh.
Like, unquote, like, give me a break, you pribbling, motley-minded miscreant.
Yes, some of his best friends are Catholics, yes, I'm sure.
Aren't
Probably
they
not
all?
good. Yeah, probably not good Catholics.
That's one of the, that's one of the best throw. Oh, no, look, no, Dan, don't get me wrong, mate. Don't get me wrong, right? Some of my best friends are Jews, mate, okay? Don't get me wrong, some of my best friends are Jews, all right? But
Yeah.
they're a bunch of beep, 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 beep.
Yes. The other thing is that, and this is a theme throughout this book, I believe, Damo, is that there's all these rules and all these fine sentiments of constitution. Obviously even the United Nations document about equal rights and all this kind of stuff. So all this high-minded, high-spirited stuff, like equality, for instance, but it's all rubbish because the law is only ever applied selectively anyway. And here they mention that, for instance, he was constitutionally incapable of being appointed to the court, this Black, but because there was a conflict of interest. So what had happened was he had voted on legislation to increase the pay of the Supreme Court judges, which meant that he should have been unable to then jump to a position that paid more money than his position as a member of Congress.
Complete conflict.
Can you think of any other cases, Damo, where constitutional rules regarding eligibility for public office were ignored. Barack Obama.
Barack Obama.
Ah.
Did I get it? Did I get it right?
Yeah, you got it.
Hey, here's another one you'll find in that particular chapter where there was a speech prepared by Black. He prepared a speech against an anti-lynching bill.
Oh.
Right?
Wow.
Now, this is a guy who had life membership in the KKK. Okay, so this is also a guy that ended up as a High Court judge for over 30 years in the US, and he prepared a speech against an anti-lynching bill.
Right, presumably arguing that lynching was an acceptable
It's okay.
course of action.
Hang on, what's wrong with a bit of lynching here and there?
Yeah, you know what?
Here a lynch, there a lynch, everywhere a lynch. Oh, hey mate, stick your head around this noose here. Let's give this a bit of a go, shall we, Walt? Oh, I think it's a bit all right. Okay, boys, let him go.
You know what? I'm not KKK with that. Yes.
KKK. Isn't that a zip manufacturer? Oh, no, it's YKK.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
The Ku Klux Klan.
Well, maybe that was a question that you had to answer. You know, if you want to join, why KK?
Yeah, good question. By the way, it does mention in that chapter that the Masons and the Klan had very close ties. 1.1 million Masons were also Klansmen.
Their ethos is very similar, isn't it? Well, certainly the KKK was underpinned by Protestants, essentially. A bunch of Protestants who hated Catholics. Well, they didn't discriminate too much because they hated Jews as well, and they hated blacks.
Yeah.
Well, not Hugo blacks.
No, not those kind of.
Quite ironic, isn't it?
It is. It is ironic.
Yeah.
A black in the KKK.
Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah. Lynch the black man. Then you hear Hugo Black. No, don't do it. It's me. Yeah.
You got the wrong idea.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Listeners, we would like to remind you that you are listening to Behind the Lodge Door series on member-supported Restoration Radio. We are your host, Dan.
And Damo.
And today we've been discussing Freemasonry on Behind the Lodge Door.
You know the statement about the footsteps in the sand? Show me a man's footprints from 5 years ago and he doesn't change, as this is what Black is saying.
Yeah.
Well, there's the other saying too, and I'm not sure, I can't remember who came up with it, but it says, show me a man's friends and you show me the man.
Yes.
And how true is that?
Yes, that's what they always say. Like,
if you get hold of the book and read it, it'll give a very good explanation about the sort of people that he used to hang around with. These are very seedy, untidy, anti-Catholic dirtbags, or if I can use my Shakespeare insulting kit, thou mangled, knotty-pated giglet.
Giglet! Oh, I like that one. Giglet.
Well, it might be giglet. It might be giglet. I think it's giglet.
Is that like a measure of data?
A giglet.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a really small one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mobile phone plan only gives me 5 giglet.
Oh, look, my hard drive just had a little gig. Oh, it's a giglet.
Oh, no.
So, look, it's just, it's an interesting one. Show me a man's friends and you show me the man. I think it was something like that, just off the top of my head. But that is true too, and it's that there's a lesson in that for us as well.
That is true,
and certainly for our children, who they hang around with. Of course, they shouldn't be hanging around with anyone that we're not aware of.
No.
Yeah, you show me a man's friends, and you show me the man.
Yes. The only thing I wanted to add, Damo, the farce about Black's KKK connections. He thought that it would become a liability for him at one stage, so he resigned in 1925.
Right.
So that then he would be able to deny him, membership in the KKK if anyone asked.
What was he? Did he make it to, Grand Dragon or Fat Lizard or
lily-livered vile corpsicle or something, whatever they...
Mottled mosquito. Yeah, what was he?
Oh,
slithering snake.
Yeah, well, that would be close enough. I know one thing.
What's that?
When he rejoined the KKK, so he left in 1925, but then he rejoined in 1926.
Right.
He accepted the gold card of life membership. That was the ultimate. So whatever he was obviously very high in the KKK. They don't just give gold cards to anyone.
No.
You have to be a particularly odious individual.
I wonder on that gold card whether you could get frequent flyer points as well.
Yeah, frequent lynching points.
Imagine that. Excuse me, sir, do you have your boarding pass? Yeah. Do you have a KKK gold card we can put your points on?
Yes.
Typically, I've got it here somewhere. Just
Yeah, it would be interesting. I want, you kind of wonder what kind of groceries, the KKK member might buy. Probably lots of, whitening or something. Lots of bleach. Yeah, but anyway, he pledged his unyielding loyalty to them until the day he died. And also, I just wanted to mention, to give you an example of some of the rhetoric, which Paul Fisher mentions in his book, one of the KKK's legal advisors, William Zumbrin, spoke against holding a Eucharistic Congress in the US.
Right.
He said because it was a plot to make America the home of the Catholic Church and to challenge the supremacy of the Klan. He said, "Are you going to permit it?" he asked his people. "Well, if not, then send back to the confines of Hades any man that lowers the dignity of the US to kiss the ring of any foreigner."
So I guess they're talking about foreigner being perhaps the Pope or a
believe-
bishop,
I believe
perhaps.
that's what they were talking about, yes.
Do those Anglicans wear rings?
I'm sure they would. But I don't think they were talking about the Anglicans.
Right. No, I don't think they were either.
So that's my summary of chapter 5.
Okay. Now, Dan, might just digress for a minute. We received an email, some feedback.
Oh, yes, I like feedback.
From a listener. I would just like to read. It says, "Dear Dan and Damo, thank you for your interesting and humorous series Behind the Lodge Door." What's this about humorous series? We're very serious about this, aren't we?
Wow, yes, we are deadly serious.
This is a serious topic
They
about
obviously-
serious things.
They obviously find some mirth in these places in which mirth is not to be found.
Maybe they've got some sort of a problem.
They could be. Huh.
Masons. Funny. No, look, I know the person who wrote this.
You do.
Very nice person indeed. Very nice man. He says, "I note that in episode 1 at 1 hour, 1 minute and 5 seconds, to be approximate, you comment that the Freemasons have the ability to create a new disease and release it. Let panic set in and release an already developed vaccine which they claim will solve the problem, making massive profits as a result."
Whoa. Yes.
Well, yes. Who made that comment, Dan? Was that you or me?
Probably you, Damo, I think.
Can you back that comment up?
Oh, I can't. It's just a guess.
Okay.
I don't remember what I said yesterday.
Okay. Sorry, who are you again? Yes. Oh, that's right. You are thou reeky, onion-eyed Fustelarian.
Yes, you artless, beetle-headed Applejohn.
So the listener goes on, quote, "While I could agree with you that there is evidence that the media and Big Pharma psychologically coerce patients and their families into accepting potentially dangerous and ineffective vaccines in order to protect them from what in reality are innocuous illnesses that almost all children will recover from without any long-term side effects. I've not heard of any new diseases being developed. Do you have any specific evidence or authors that you could provide me with to support this claim?" Well, no.
It's just speculation.
Yeah,
really,
we
isn't it?
we just make it up as we go.
Yeah.
But it sounds pretty good.
You know what? The Freemasons, they're spreading their diseases.
Yeah,
And there's your evidence right there.
that's right. Alex Jones told me.
Justin Bieber! I want to see you truly be who you are! Ah!
Oh, goodness me, it's like having him right in the studio here.
That's right, you tottering, root-growing nut-nuck!
Anyway, so I look forward to the next episode of Behind the Lodge Door. Best regards. There we go. That was a good one. But Dan, in all seriousness, as a result of this listener's feedback, he and I have entered into some correspondence. Now, I did answer his question and provided evidence to support my claims, and he has since reciprocated with a great deal of very interesting information. This is all very timely, and I'll tell you why. Listeners, stay tuned for a future Restoration Radio episode which will be dedicated to this very topic, that is the truth about vaccinations and what is really going on. To that end, I don't want to spoil the show, as it were, so keep an eye and an ear out for that important episode where you will also be provided with many links and supporting evidence. Right, so Dan,
Yes.
I wanted to talk about the Reynolds and Beeson cases, which were concerned with bigamy and polygamy. Why am I bringing this up? because this push for religious freedom and so on and so forth in the States, does it really exist or is it selective?
Yes.
Okay. In the Reynolds case, George Reynolds, a Mormon, had been charged with committing bigamy in the territory of Utah.
Oh, it's an unusual crime, isn't it?
Well, I don't know whether he was a very charitable man, but apparently he did give some money and alms, and that was big of him.
He said that was bigamy.
Yeah. In the territory of Utah, where the act was a crime according to federal law. In rendering its decision, the court established two constitutional principles. First, it provided a definition for the word religion.
Ah, finally.
Oh, so it took all that time because we didn't know what religion was. Second, it ruled how free the free exercise of religion really is. So isn't that interesting? The court noted that the word religion is not defined in the Constitution. Consequently, it was necessary to look elsewhere to find the meaning of the word in, quote, the history of the times in the midst of which the provision was adopted, unquote. So obviously in law has its own language, Dan, by the sounds. I'm not a lawyer. Are you a lawyer, Dan?
No, I'm not a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer. But obviously in law, I guess in similar vein, philosophy, words have perhaps different meanings. So the court then cited Madison's quote-unquote memorial and remonstrance, where he had demonstrated that religion or the duty we owe the Creator was not within cognizance of the civil government.
Oh, that's interesting.
The High Bench also observed that Jefferson's bill for religious freedom, approved by the Virginia legislature, had defined religion exactly as had Madison in his memorial. That being religion or the duty we owe the Creator was not within cognizance of the civil government. Further, the bill said civil government can only interfere with religious belief, quote, when principles break out into overt acts against peace and good order, unquote.
Yes, Damo, it's a real concern, that religion clause, isn't it?
Hello. Oh, it's Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, Jimmy, thou frothy fen-sucked giglet.
Yeah, you puking, ill-nurtured louse.
How are you?
I'm
you go.
good, you errant's dread-bolted death token.
So Jimmy, we're just sitting here talking about the religion clause in the US Constitution.
Oh, yeah.
What do you know about that, thou infectious gill-gorged haggard?
The religious clause in the US Constitution?
Yes, what do you know about that, thou paunchy, ill-breeding lout?
Nothing.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, rightio. Okay, then.
It's
Thanks for that.
rather a good contribution from thou cocked, clapper-clawed bugbear.
Yeah, you spleeny, beetle-headed bladder. Yeah, you always seem to have so much to say, you spongy, dog-hearted clockpole.
It's always good when Jimmy drops in and shares his knowledge with us. I mean, he is a ruttish, pox-marked puttock.
Yes, not to mention a puny, milk-livered lewdster.
So, Jimmy, we better let you go, thou droning, elf-skinned flax wench.
All right. Well, nice to see you, you saucy, ruling ripe nuthook.
All right, thou spongy, rude-growing pig nut, out you go.
Yes, all right, there we go.
We'll see you next time, thou vain spur-galled scut.
Oh, goodness me. What a bawdy, boiled-brained bladder.
Thou jarring, guts-gripping harpy. Oh, it's always good to see Jimmy, isn't it, Dan?
Ah, yes.
His
yes.
contribution is
Immeasurable.
second to none.
Yes.
Okay, so early US history, the Protestants / Freemasonic / KKK establishment blew up churches, Catholic churches, and ransacked homes and things like that. But that didn't necessarily constitute, quote unquote, break out into overt acts against peace and good order.
You would think that would be the prime example.
Well, so all of a sudden, though, we're seeing here something added. The government can only interfere with religious belief when principles break out into overt acts against peace and good order.
Yes.
But we look at where it is today, they have made it into what they want it to be in terms of the establishment, in terms of civil government. Now, that provision of the bill, said the court, provides the true distinction between what properly belongs to the church and what to the state. Now, I don't think that is talking about property in terms of material goods, but in terms of what's the line of demarcation, so to
Yes,
speak, if you
yes,
like.
Yes.
The court also referenced Jefferson's reply to an address he had received from the Danbury, Connecticut Baptist Association, and this is a famous one, where he told the group the religion clause, in his view, built a wall of separation between church and state.
Oh.
That statement has been leveraged ever since to promulgate the separation between church and state. And that's why it seems to be coming up more and more. You're hearing rock stars and Hollywood stars using the term a wall of separation between church and state, that we must build that wall of separation between church and state. And I hope that when Trump is talking about
We need to build a wall.
that he's not talking about the wall of separation between church and state.
No.
Now, so in explaining, Jefferson said he was convinced man, quote unquote, has no natural right in opposition to his social duties.
Yes, in other words, the state is preeminent.
But think about that. Is that not modernist speak? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Has no natural right in opposition to his social duties. So we could sit there and
Yes.
say, well, if he's bringing this discussion down to the natural level,
What it really says is, to me, is that not only is there what they say a wall of separation between church and state, but it's so much more than that. It's an assertion of the state above all else. That's what it appears to be. One's duty to the state is paramount. All rights are seen relative to your duty to the state.
so
know,
your
so-
religion, as in, being Catholic, is just that's kind of a little hobby that you've got on the side.
Yeah. Where it conflicts with what the government wants,
That's right.
that's when your rights end, right?
Exactly, because they don't acknowledge necessarily the supernatural. And for those that have been listening to this program, one of the common themes has been the key aim of Freemasonry is to oust the supernatural, to rid the supernatural from society. Although this is a bit disjointed, you start to put the pieces of the puzzle together. The flavour is coming through, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes, definitely.
So, addressing its own understanding of those historic documents, the court declared Congress was deprived of all legislative power over mere opinion, but was left free to reach actions which were in violation of social duties or subversive to good order. Now, we're still talking about the bigamy situation here. Continuing, the opinion quote noted that polygamy has always been odious among the northern and western nations of Europe, and until the establishment of the Mormons Church was almost exclusively a feature of the life of Asiatic and of African people.
Yes.
At common law, the second marriage was always void. And from the earliest history of England, polygamy has been treated as an offence against society. In fact, by the statute of James I, the penalty for polygamy was death. They want the separation of church and state. The government doesn't want to fund anything to do with religion. It
Yes.
wants that complete separation. It wants to run the show. But if this man's religion allows him, okay, if his beliefs, his conscience,
Yes.
this is what this is their line. If his conscience dictates that that's fine, then what's the problem?
But that's when that clause comes in. It's like it says, well, it talks about the good order of society and the state.
But that's them. That's like they're defining that now to suit their own end.
Well, of course they are. So it's gone from like the spirit of Christian virtue in public life to now follow your conscience. Then it's gone to a wall of separation between church and state, and now it's saying that religion is whatever the state permits it to be.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So the state is God now.
So, but not only that, can we see the religion clause which states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof? It is defined as not creating its own religion and
Yes.
forcing that upon the people of the US. But just like what the Masons have done to infiltrate the structure of the Catholic Church,
Yes.
this is exactly the same strategic approach in that they are slowly but surely creating their own religion by approving this, approving that, putting this through Congress, putting this through the legislative process. I'd just like to read this. The decision observed that bigamy and polygamy are crimes, quote, by the laws of all civilized and Christian countries. Continuing, the major ruling said the following. Certainly no legislation can be supposed more wholesome and necessary in the founding of a free, self-governing commonwealth fit to take rank as one of the coordinate states of the Union than that which seeks to establish it on the basis of the idea of the family as constituting in and springing from the union for life of one man and one woman in the holy estate of matrimony. Ooh. The sure foundation of all that is stable and noble in our civilization, the best guarantee of that reverent morality which is the source of all beneficent progress in social and political improvement. And to this end, no means are more directly and immediately suitable than those provided by this statute, which endeavours to withdraw all political influence from those who are practically hostile to its attainment. Now, if you read between the lines, well, first of all, where does God come into this?
Well, I think it's about the social order.
Well, it's all beneficent progress in social and political improvement.
Right, so it's about the state.
It's completely about the state. You know, listeners, don't get wrapped up in the term religion. They've redefined what it means. Religion does not mean Catholicism to these people. It never has. Maybe in the early days, religion to them was a form of Christianity, when we know that the term Christianity belongs wholly and solely to the Catholic Church, but for the purpose of the exercise. Yeah. The court enunciated that Reynolds later affirmed, it said, in this country the full and free right to entertain any religious belief, to practice any religious principle, and to teach any religious doctrine which does not violate the laws of morality and property, and which does not infringe personal rights, is conceded to all. The law knows no heresy and is committed to the support of no dogma, the establishment of no sect. Okay, now to me, that's completely satanic.
Yeah, it's basically anything goes as long as you're not a threat to the state. Right?
You're not a threat to the state and you do not infringe personal rights. This is how you know. You know this is despotism. At the end of the day, you have a situation where the government just goes from one thing to the next, making rules as it goes.
Yes.
Think about that, which does not infringe personal rights. Well, this guy sees his personal right. If he wants to marry 20 women, he can.
Yeah.
Or if he wants to marry 2 women, he can. Is that not a personal right by definition? But because it doesn't suit them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not fighting for polygamy or bigamy, as you know, because the Mormons would say, well, that's big of you, and I'd say, well, it's not really bigamy. Bon bon. But essentially what we're saying here is there is complete and absolute contradiction. I just want to read one comment here that I believe is from Paul Fisher, Dan, and I disagree with it.
Okay.
He says the above excerpts abundantly manifest that the decision in the Reynolds case supported the Christian beliefs and practices regarding marriage. I don't agree with that.
No, it supported marriage as an institution of the state, but I don't think it didn't mention anything about it.
It's just like when Ratzinger brought in the motu proprio, that people saying, "Oh, it's great. Oh, the Pope has now said we can say the Latin Mass, and it's all great and wonderful." But that wasn't to suit the purposes of anyone else but his own and of Vatican II. We must not get excited and think that we're having a win when the state seemingly does something that is somehow in alignment or states something which is somehow in alignment with our beliefs.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be the eternal cynic, but we need to wake up, read between the lines and ask ourselves why. Now, if you conclude why, because it's a good thing and the state wants to do a good thing, well, fine, if that's your conclusion. I don't conclude that because I believe that the history of law, for instance, in the US means nothing to the Masons. I believe that religion means nothing to the Masons. What I do believe, they have created their own language, they have created their own rules, they have created their own religion. And maybe that religion is the religion of the establishment. Call it what you want. Look at what's happening in America now. I know everyone's saying, oh, Trump is our saviour, and ooh, he's going to build a wall, and he's going to, whatever.
Or nominate conservative justices.
Yeah,
to the
that's
Supreme
right. You
Court.
know, time will tell. All I'm saying is that look at the history of it, look at what's been going on, look at how they have step by step altered the system to suit themselves.
Well, not only that, but it's fallen so far from any concept of, the judicial precedents or anything like that. Two decisions that come to mind: that Roe versus Wade decision, legalizing abortion in America, totally without reference to any, they mentioned some obscure privacy clause to justify that.
Yeah.
And the gay marriage thing, I don't know what they mentioned, but they looked for something out there that wasn't there in the law. It was just complete activism. So you've got to conclude, therefore, that the law is a law unto itself. The Supreme Court will do what it can get away with.
Yes.
Obviously, the Parliament in America is still above the legislature, but once the court rules on things like abortion and gay marriage, how many politicians have the will to reverse those decisions?
That's right.
It gets worse and worse.
Also, in the matter of the religion protected by the First Amendment, in the Reynolds case, the court accepted the definition which says religion in the religion clause means a philosophy or view of life which recognises the existence of our Creator.
That's vague.
Yeah, as well as a duty owed to that being. So, but again, doesn't use the term God.
No.
Doesn't use the term, Christ. Duty owed to Christ, who died a horrific death which appeased the Eternal Father, and as a result, the gates of heaven were open. Our Creator, as well as a duty owed to that being.
Well, what if you believe you were created by the Big Bang and the being was, some kind of space particle?
Well, I actually just find that terminology repulsive. That viewpoint is consistent with the court's opinion in Vidal versus Girard in 1844 and Holy Trinity in 1892. It also mirrors the interpretation of Mr. Justice Story in his commentaries. Look, it seems to me it doesn't matter what you dig up, you're going to find pockmarks. You're going to find issues. Anything that is said here. The key point for me, and this is in alignment with the show we did on the First Amendment, is to read between the lines and understand that there is nothing, and I mean nothing Catholic about, and behind the lodge door is very much US centric.
Yeah.
So to concentrate on that, please understand that there is nothing Catholic about America. There never really has been in terms of its history.
No.
And I recommend, and we can put this in the show notes, I recommend a very good sermon by Father Al Dracker.
Make America Great Again?
Yes, I think I think that was the title of it. And I don't need to say any more on that because his sermon says it all. So I highly recommend that. We'll put that in the show notes. The very last paragraph in Chapter 6, obviously Masonic spokesmen and their philosophical allies can cite isolated words or phrases culled from earlier court decisions to suggest that precedent court rulings support their view of the religion clause. Okay, so they're just clutching at straws, taking what they can, ripping this out, ripping that out.
Yeah.
I mean, who can't do that?
Well, yeah, and then why do they bother with the whole facade of being a court and going through all that, jiggery pokery, just to say, well, basically at the end of the day, we'll just pick what we want, and that surely is the hallmark of like third world dictatorships.
I believe it's time, Dan. They're very patient. We saw that with what happened as a result of Vatican II and how that all came about. So in terms of Chapter 6, Dan, I found that it provides a reasonably good sort of overall summary in relation to how the religion clause came about. I think it is a very important chapter in the book, and it's an important chapter to understand, especially when they start defining what religion means. And it's kind of like, say, a stingray that sits at the bottom of the ocean, one of those camouflage stingrays that sits at the bottom of the ocean. You may swim over it, you wouldn't even know it was there. But then all of a sudden it just starts to move a little bit. Oh, hang on a minute. And then it takes off.
Yeah.
And I believe that it starts to show, it's concealed, it's camouflaged, I should say. But then you start to see it, the outline of the thing moving along. And I kind of see that's a parallel. They had to kill this. They had to get this religion clause in. They had to make sure that the Catholic Church was completely ousted. Protestantism was never really a threat. No. In fact, it was the vehicle they used.
Yes, and now they've moved beyond Protestantism. Now they've just moved into full-on what they originally intended to do. Protestants were useful idiots, obviously.
The fact that the clause says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, what is in America the man commonly referred to as? The ruling people.
When people talk about the man, they talk about oppression by the state.
Well, they now refer to it as the establishment.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
So this is all about let's not
Establishment of the
take away all power from the government to establish its own religion, and now we have this thing 300 years later called the establishment, and everyone knows that as the despot organisation that essentially just runs everything.
Right, yeah. Whether it be CIA, all those alphabet soup of different organisations that seem to run everyone's lives, the establishment as the religion of the state, the establishment as the state as God.
We know that if a man's going to die for something, he will die for his religious beliefs. If he truly believes in that, it's the highest, what would you say, his highest principle. Now, you look at the way these liberals are carrying on over in the States. I don't know how many of them are getting paid to do it, by the way, and they're actually genuine in their cause.
I believe a certain Mr. George Soros is probably influencing these things, but anyway.
But look at the way they carry on. It's
uncivilized.
It's just crazy. It is uncivilized. They're representing the establishment. They're representing that religion which was created by the establishment, created by government. And at what point did Obama, or what's that other piece of work called? Hillary Clinton, come out and tell these people to settle down, not to carry on like idiots?
Didn't do it.
Didn't do it.
No.
Why?
No.
Because they actually supported it. That's why.
Yeah, because I guess you could, as you said, those freaks are the very manifestation of the vile establishment in human form.
Yeah. So this is where it's got to. So, Dan, in summary, anything else that you'd like to say about today's show?
Yes, I have an article here from the local paper. They say that Freemasonry has a PR problem. It's kind of seen as stuffy old men with weird rituals and stuff like that.
Funny aprons.
Yeah, you know. And so, yes.
Gloves are getting a bit dark.
There's a picture with a guy with a funny apron, incidentally.
You gotta love the apron. Well, it looks like he's just about... I know where the origins of the apron comes from.
What's that?
It's what they wear when they're cooking their lion's fruitcake.
Oh, there we go. What a bunch of
something
fruitcakes.
to wipe your hands on. But then they wear their white gloves too, don't they?
I don't know. Michael Jackson also wore white gloves, so I don't know.
Bit of a thriller.
The article says here, up until the 70s, just about all Australian Prime Ministers were Freemasons.
That's true.
Other well-known members included cricketer Don Bradman, Robert Menzies, Graham Kennedy, and the inventor of Freddo Frog and Vegemite. However, these glory days are well and truly gone. In the 60s, Freemasons had 110,000 members in Australia. Now there are only 9,500. The organisation is losing 700 members annually at an unsustainable 8% loss per annum. And so they say, with declining revenues, memberships and relevance, Freemasons must modernise or slowly die this year.
Do you agree with that? Do you think that's the case? Do you know any Freemasons personally?
Yes, I do actually.
Right.
Yes,
okay.
I do.
Right.
And he's still a Freemason.
And have you spoken to him and asked him if he believes that is correct?
I have never talked to him about that. No.
Well, probably just as well. You
Yes.
don't want to run the risk of the force of the church coming down and saying you're having anything to do with them and you're gone.
That's right. Oh no. Anyway, they've brought in this woman called Jane Sydenham Clark, a hyphen. She has an impressive reputation turning around struggling organisations, or as she calls it, undertaking change management journeys. How corporate is that?
So is she? Hang on. So is she employed by the Masons to get things back on track? Is that what it is? She's a consultant.
Yes, that's right. She's like a PR person. She says, we'll be moving with the times. This involves getting the product right and working out what success looks like.
Oh my God.
Today, so corporate. Today's young man is well educated. They have a family and they're time poor, so we need to ensure that we are relevant to their lives, she said later. Given the average age of a Freemason is 67, this emphasis on engaging younger members is no mean feat. She's adamant the Freemasons could bring about renewal and rejuvenation without admitting females as members. So they're not going to change that. And in her eyes, Freemasonry is about good men supporting each other, their family and their community. So that's what
tears are welling.
Yeah, they're trying to go from that angle. She wants to get the message out that Freemasonry is about turning good men into better men. It's about honouring tradition, but reaching out to younger men in their 20s, 30s and 40s, she says. We want hipsters in the lodge.
She sounds like a mangled, rump-fed pumpion to me. She might even actually qualify as a spongy, rude, growing vassal.
Yes, I definitely think the latter. There you go, hipsters in the lodge.
Hipsters in the lodge. Now, what is a hipster, Dan?
Hipster is one of those kind of bearded, what would you say, emaciated looking, op shop frequenting people that you might see in the inner city.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. A cross between a Ned Kelly and
An emaciated...
a Mr. Bean.
Yeah, right.
A Ned
Probably.
Kelly, Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
These hipsters, do they have bolts and stuff through their faces and all that?
Some of them probably do, but I think usually a hipster is... They're just known by their really long beards and their love of really boring alternative music that they think is so awesome.
Do they talk like this?
Yeah, they do. Well, yeah.
Or they talk like this.
No, they're definitely...
G'day, I'm a hipster.
No, they're definitely on the softer side.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, they talk like this. I'm a hipster.
A
Well,
little
that's
bit.
interesting.
No, they've been more like this. Hello, I'm from Melbourne, and really, I've been looking into sustainability, and it's a little bit like this, that kind of.
And I'm into empowering.
Effete.
I'm into empowering women.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I'm into empowering everything.
I've actually done this gender studies course, and it's really fascinating. There's not as much of a dichotomy between men and women as you might think. There are actually 48 different genders.
Wow, that's amazing. And with climate change, there's a change in the climate because the climate is changing because it's changing because it's the climate and the climate changes.
And the government's not doing anything about it.
No, we need to throw money at the climate because if we're going to change the climate, we need to make sure that the climate is changing, and that's money does that. You see,
I feel like by making Al Gore rich, we are actually obtaining a greater state of consciousness.
absolutely. I mean, and that's what it's all about. It's about learning. It's about changing. It's about climate. It's about growing. It's about being a vegan. It's about shopping at Salvos.
It's beautiful, and I love that organic food too. It's so wonderful.
Oh yes, just the way the spinach.
Yeah.
Yeah. But spinach is alive, so I always shed a tear when I'm eating it.
I try not to let it get to me too much. I try to think of I try to offset that by doing something good for the environment.
And what do you do that's good for the environment, Dan?
Well, what I do is I really just get back to nature. I like to travel in the mountains every now and then, and I like to discover I want to get out of the city sometimes. I want to go to some of the country areas and
Just be on your own, do your own thing.
well, I'm actually I tried to establish a business with the money that my father gave me, my middle class father.
Oh.
He gave me all this money.
Is that the father that you insured 3 months before he died?
Well, that's not really relevant.
Okay.
But anyway, I tried to start a business in the city, and it didn't really work. The market just wasn't there. But I think I'm going to go to a nice country town. I think I might live in the country, actually.
Right.
Not because I want to get away from multiculturalism.
No.
No, diversity is
Because
wonderful.
it's a wonderful thing.
It's wonderful.
It's great for the climate.
Look, it's great for people in the western suburbs. They love diversity, and I don't want to take that away from them.
No.
But yeah, I want to move to the country areas, and I want to establish a hipster pub there.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think it would really take off.
Because, see, I can see by the little disky things that you've got in your ear there, I can see right through those things there. I'm just wondering if I can pea shoot through that. Can you just hold still? Just hang on a sec.
Oh, it's a bit rude.
No, just hang on. Oh, I nearly got through. Oh, well, gee, it's amazing how you do that with those discs in your ears. Why do you do that, Dan? I don't understand. Is that part of being a hipster?
I think you're being a bit rude.
Really?
Yeah, I think
A bit personal?
a bit personal. I think I think you're being a little bit. You're violating my safe space.
Bit close to the bone?
The cartilage anyway. You're violating my safe space.
Well, I'm sorry about that. Not the last thing I want to do is violate anyone's safe space, and because it's all about the climate and changing the climate, and the climate needs to be changed.
Exactly.
All right, so
Yes, anyway,
so that's what a hipster is.
That's a hipster. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's interesting.
It's an educational experience.
Yeah. I mean, a hipster sounds to me like a vain, spur-galled strumpet.
Strumpet. Yes.
Could also be easily labelled as a lumpish, folly-fallen maggot pie.
Possibly.
So, Dan, let's summarise.
I'd settle for sackless mediocrity myself.
Would you? What about a...
Oh, that's not in there, is it?
Oh, it's not. What about a milk-livered hedge pig?
Oh, that's close enough.
Okay, today's show, chapters 5 and 6. Chapter 5 was the chapter that you reviewed, Footsteps in the Sand. It was great to hear the poem. Would you call that a poem? Footprints in the sand?
People say it's a poem. It doesn't rhyme, but it's a poem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not all poems rhyme, do they?
Not all poems rhyme, that's true.
There's something so Protestant about it, though.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, the Lord said blah, 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 and I was carrying you and all this. I wouldn't imagine Pope St. Pius X or, you know, Archbishop Daniel Mannix saying that.
Maybe it was actually written by someone who was up in the north of Australia, and they were actually walking along. A crocodile came out, ripped off both their legs, and they were hallucinating. And one of their friends came along and picked them up and ran them to get some first aid. That's why they only saw one set of footprints in the sand, because they actually didn't have any legs.
Well, yeah, and actually, furthermore to that story, I believe that they had such pain after having their legs ripped off that they took these really powerful drugs to deal with that, and that's when that poem was written.
Oh,
yeah.
That horrid group called the Beatles. I mean, they wrote a lot of songs about, you know, when they were sort of hallucinating, the yellow submarine and all this sort of carry on. What?
Yeah, we all live in a yellow submarine. How weird.
So, footsteps in the sand, Dan. Where anything you'd like to sort of add to that?
Not particularly. I guess the two chapters go very well together. They mention Black's influence, the transition to the decline of the Christian ethos in America in general, and how that was facilitated by nefarious Freemasons like Black.
That's right, yeah. And chapter 6, the craft fights religion clause history. It takes you through, I guess you would say, the process by which the religion clause was developed to the clause that it is today. I guess that's the way to put it.
Well, not only developed it, but I guess how it has been applied.
Funny enough, we didn't really get into too many examples of how it has been applied today. We spoke a little bit about it, but you're right, Dan. It's like a really big rubber band. It is stretched and stretched and stretched to meet the needs of the user. The user is the establishment.
Yes.
They will use it to suit their own needs. One of the notes that I put in the book when I was reading this chapter was law history means nothing to the Masons. In other words, we talk about precedents and all that's garbage. They just make it up as they go. They would have been, I could say this with confidence, the term precedents they probably came up with when you think about it logically. And of course, that 30 to 35 years of domination on the High Court bench, well, they keep going back to that period, don't they?
Yeah.
You know,
and the whole idea that, like, it's said in American political discourse so much, the separation of church and state. And it turns out that, from what we read, that was merely a comment, you know, a footnote that someone had said, well, maybe a wall of separation between church and state, and all of a sudden that's become...
That was a comment made in a document. Yeah. They just pick it up and run with it. Look, Dan, our next episode, we're going to cover chapters 7 and 8. 7 is diffusing the parochial aid bomb.
Okay.
And 8 is Everson, Masonic justice built on sand. There's a bit of a footprints in the sand, footsteps and so on.
Maybe he actually secretly liked that poem. I'm not going to judge him for it, but maybe Mr. Fisher actually secretly liked that poem.
Maybe he did. Maybe he was carried through the sand one time.
Yes.
All right. Any concluding comments, Dan?
No, Damo. That's about it.
Pretty much covered it. I'm pretty much the same. So, I guess we should close out this episode.
Okay. If you have any questions about anything you've heard on today's episode, please email questions@truerestoration.org. We want to remind you that Behind the Lodge Door is a production of member-supported Restoration Radio. All rights are reserved and any duplication without explicit written permission is forbidden. To obtain permission, please write to copyright@truerestoration.org. All of us here at member-supported Restoration Radio hope that you found this show to be informative, helpful and beneficial to you and to your faith. In return, please think of offering a Mass, a Rosary, or even a simple Ave for our work the next time you pray. For the Restoration, I am Dan.
And I am Damo.
May God bless you.
So, Dan, how did you feel about that, you dissembling, flat-mouthed joint head?
Well, you infectious, fen-sucked footlicker.
You paunchy, ill-nurtured nuthook.
You puny, pottle-deep measle.
You unmuzzled, onion-eyed rat's bane.
This program was brought to you free of charge by the sponsorship of Novus Ordo Watch. See for yourself that the Church of the Second Vatican Council is not in fact the Catholic Church of the ages. go to novusordowatch.org.